A lot of us think the frustration goes away when we get better at jiu-jitsu. That once we put in the years, earned the belt, built the skill, we somehow arrive at this magical place where everything finally feels smooth and certain. But that's not how it works. In fact, one of the most important things we can understand about jiu-jitsu is this: the struggle does not disappear, it just changes shape. That matters, especially for those of us training later in life, because whether we started at 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, there is always going to be something that tests us. That's not a flaw in the journey, that is the journey. I'm Hadrian, a jiu-jitsu black belt coach and former competitor. I'm also deep into my 40s, and if there's one thing I've come to believe, it's that a lot of what keeps us on the mat long term has less to do with toughness than people think, and far more to do with honesty, adaptation, and learning how to work with reality instead of fighting it. One time I was talking to a white belt student, a guy who'd started jiu-jitsu in his 60s. He was reflecting on the fact that he hadn't found the art much earlier, and he was feeling the weight of that. Most of us know that feeling in one form or another. Looking around the room, seeing younger, stronger bodies, faster reactions, more time on the mat, ahead of them than behind them, and thinking, if only I'd started sooner. And the truth is, a lot of us have had our own version of that thought. I started jiu-jitsu at 30, and for a long, long time, I begrudged the fact that I hadn't started 10 years earlier like all those shiny 20-something world champions. I'd look at people with a head start, better timing, better physical tools, more mat mileage, and I'd feel that sting. Like I was already playing catch-up, like I'd turned up late to something important. But here's the truth. That feeling does not magically vanish just because we keep going. Even as black belts, even after years on the mat, even once we built skill and experience, there are still younger, better grapplers we struggle with. There are still rounds that humble us, still moments where our body reminds us it's not 25 anymore. Still occasions where the gap between what we want to do and what we're able to do feels very, very real. And that's exactly how it's supposed to be. Because the point of jiu-jitsu was never to arrive at some final state of comfort where challenge disappears. The challenge is the whole thing. At white belt, the challenge is survival. At blue belt, maybe it's confidence. At purple, brown, black, maybe it's refinement, adaptation, expectation, ego management, aging, consistency, injury management, or even staying motivated when the game gets subtler and progress gets harder to measure. But there is always something for us to wrestle with. That matters because a lot of us unconsciously make a deal with jiu-jitsu. We think, I'll keep doing this as long as it starts feeling easier, as long as it eventually starts feeling easier, or as long as I feel like I'm winning, or as long as I don't feel exposed. But jiu-jitsu never signed that deal. Jiu-jitsu is a pressure test. It keeps asking questions. Can we stay calm here? Can we stay humble here? Can we keep learning here? Can we keep showing up even when we are no longer the strongest, fastest, youngest person in the room? That's where the real work is. It's not just mastering technique, but in learning how to meet reality without bitterness, and learning how to train honestly in the body we have now, not the one we had 15 years ago, and not the one we wish we had when we first started. That to me is one of the deepest lessons of the art. This is probably a good time to mention my Roll Forever cheat sheet. It's a free resource which offers 7 simple cues you can plug right into the next session, into your next session to roll stronger for longer. Warm-up primers, between round resets, post-roll recovery cues, all in there. Click the link below and make sure you double check your inbox because I've included a little gift to help you go even deeper into longevity if that's something you're thinking about. Again, the link is below. So what's the practical takeaway? The takeaway here is simple. We have to stop measuring our jiu-jitsu life against an imaginary version of ourselves that started earlier, recovered faster, never got older. That's a dead end. A better measure is who we were 6 months ago versus who we are today. How we handle adversity now, how well we adapt, whether we can stay in the game with intelligence, patience, and perspective. Because there will always be somebody younger. There will always be somebody stronger. There will always be somebody slicker, sharper, more explosive, more accomplished. Fine. That was true when we were white belts. It'll be true when we're black belts. The belt does not remove the struggle. It just gives us a different relationship to it. And honestly, for me, that's a good thing. Because if there were no challenge, there'd be no reason to keep coming back. No edge, no growth, no forge. The very thing that frustrates us is also the thing that shapes us. As it is in Jiu-Jitsu, so it is in life. Or so it is in life, so it is in Jiu-Jitsu. That resistance is what makes the art worth doing. So if you've been feeling a bit disheartened lately, if you've been comparing yourself to younger athletes, or regretting a late start, or quietly wondering whether the struggle is a sign you're behind, take this as a reminder. We are not behind. We are in it. This is it. This is the practice. This is the path. Jiu-Jitsu was never about becoming untouchable. It was about becoming harder to break, more adaptable, more honest, more resilient, more skillful under pressure. And those qualities are forged in challenge, not in ease. So we keep going. We keep adjusting. We keep learning. We keep receiving the lesson that this season of training is trying to teach us. Because the obstacle is not proof that something has gone wrong. The obstacle is the point. And if you want to go deeper into this whole idea of longevity, recovery, and staying on the mat for the long haul, watch this video here where I talk about why your body, not you, will decide when your jiu-jitsu journey ends unless you know how to read the warning signs. I'll see you there.